How do you want to start with the very beginning, the first call when we get here?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. 4 o'clock yesterday? Okay. Yesterday afternoon around 4 o'clock, we get a phone call for a domestic disturbance behind us here at the address. And when deputies are en route, he tells his mother, "Did you call the police on me?" And she said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, they won't be too happy if they see this." And he throws a grenade outside of the window. When deputies arrive, mom says, "My son had a grenade." He threw it out the window. They alert the bomb squad. They come out. The grenade had everything in it but the powder. As deputies walk through the house, they discover homemade blasting caps and a bunch of chemicals. So they back out. We get a search warrant. As you can see, we're in the house now. And I will tell you that that domestic violence call probably saved us from making national and international news. He has all of the components in there to make a weapon of mass destruction. As a matter of fact, some of the chemicals that he had in there are reminiscent of what the '93 World Trade Center bombing was. Nitric acid and urea was used in the '93 World Trade Center bombing. He's got that. He has manuals inside of the house about how to create booby traps. He had a lunchbox, a SpongeBob SquarePants lunchbox that was all set to go. All it needed was a battery and gunpowder. So when I tell you, he just didn't have the time, or he just didn't get around to it, of mixing all of these chemicals together to put his bomb in place. But he clearly had intentions. He told investigators his intention was to hurt first responders. He wanted to take revenge against the system. He was arrested for trafficking in heroin. He has even been one of our Narcan saves. As recently as 2 weeks ago, we deployed Narcan in that house and saved his life. He's been Baker acted 4 times. He's out on pretrial release. We're trying to get his bond revoked. He's on a $5,000 bond. He needs to sit in there. And like I said, he did everything but take that one step to creating, in my opinion, a weapon of mass destruction.
Do you have any idea how he got
Online.
He bought a grenade online?
The grenade you could buy at a military surplus store. And some of the manuals that he had you could purchase at a military surplus store. But all the other chemicals he has there, he ordered online. And other things are household items. He had homemade blasting caps in there that just didn't have the black powder in it. There's a ton of ammunition where he took the primer off and dumped the powder into a jar. So basically he had everything there, and it looks to us that he was experimenting. There was even the stuff that they used in Columbine. They're not pipe bombs. They're these little CO2 canisters that they drill the bottom out. You put a wick in it and black powder, and then when you throw it, it's a bomb. And it was used in Columbine. So he has done his research. We're trying to get his computer, which he recently pawned, but everything he has learned to do has been on the internet or just going to a military surplus store and picking up manuals.
Sheriff, you talked about Columbine. One of the questions that many people ask, did the family know that any of this stuff is inside the house?
They had to know. When I tell you it's a tale of two homes, when you first walk in, you say, I can't believe somebody was in here making bombs. And then you go into his room, which is absolutely deplorable, and if I was a roach, I wouldn't live in that room. That's how despicable and dirty and feces and urine filled that room is. But the rest of the house is in pretty good shape.
He's a grown man. They didn't know any of this was going on. The parents didn't know anything.
They claim they knew nothing about it, is what they're claiming to us right now. And the brother, we're still investigating this. You know, we have ATF out here. We're trying to see if there's anything we can have go federal out of this. You know, the quandary with that is he's allowed to possess some of these chemicals because he's not a convicted felon, much like a firearm. I flunked chemistry, so there's stuff there that you're not supposed. You know, if you were a convicted felon, you could not possess. He's got it there. You know, and we'll release a name of all the chemical components that he had there. Like I said, nitric acid, urea. There is all kind of chemicals there, plus stuff that you can make out of your house to do it. It's not that difficult from what I'm learning. He's been arrested, but he hasn't been convicted. Yeah, that's the issue.
The deputies were in here just a few weeks ago, but they didn't notice any of these.
They were there. I don't think he was in his bedroom. I don't know where he was specifically when he overdosed, but the grenade is what set everybody off. Because when the first responding deputies see a grenade, they automatically are thinking bomb. So when they go into the bedroom, which is an absolute, I got to tell you, I'd walk in there, I wouldn't even saw that stuff because I wouldn't have been thinking of it. You just think this is deplorable conditions to live. But as they started to look around and snoop around, they started to see, well, wait a minute here. We need to get the bomb squad inside of the house and get them in here now.
We heard what may have been described as an explosion this morning. What can you describe?
That was us. We were detonating the grenade, and then there was, we think it may have been a booby trap or a chance for a booby trap out in the back of the house. One of those small canisters that we talked about earlier was buried in the ground with a toy on top of it, and he just didn't have the black powder in that to go off. That we detonated that as well. And like I said, there's a series of homemade blasting caps that he made through just household material that's just not filled with that black powder yet.
Sheriff, how bad could this have been? I mean, obviously he's not an expert and he's toying with stuff that's highly explosive.
I mean, what my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is he was working on the delivery system first, and then he would have worked on the bomb. Because obviously the lunchbox, that was, he had a book in there where the center was hollowed out, and he had it wired. It just needed a battery and black powder. You had the booby trap in the backyard. So I think he was playing with how do I deliver it? But he had all the chemicals. It was a matter of mixing them together, and you're good to go. You know, batteries and gunpowder.
Can you talk to us about the takedown in this case? Did he go peacefully? Did he say anything as they were coming in?
He got arrested and he spoke. He was speaking with the investigators, and he told us. He said he told the bomb squad members when they started questioning him, "Hey, we need to know where we're going to go. What are we going up against in this house?" And he told them, he said, "You know, I am anti-government. I'm against the system, and I was looking to get even with the system, and I was going to hurt first responders." I can't think of the group that wears the white mask, which is an anti-government group. He's got that mask in there. You know, that's what he told us. And like I said, he's definitely got a heroin problem. You know, 2 weeks ago we hit him with Narcan and saved his life. He's due for a pre-sentencing evaluation with Judge Clayton on December 12th. So we're trying to contact the judge. And like I said, the big thing is we want his bond revoked.
If he comes up with $500,
he's out. He's out. And, you know, even though we're taking his stuff, you can't take away the knowledge of what he has. And, you know, like I said, you think of with Timothy, you think of a lot of these quote-unquote bombers. It's not highly sophisticated stuff we're talking here. You know, you get the chemicals, you read online, you mix it, you test it out a little bit, and you're ready to rock and roll. You know, and the booby traps is what's extremely concerning is, you know, you're talking a kid's school lunchbox. You know, what was in his mind that you would put together a SpongeBob lunchbox and booby trap that? You know, why would you, the toy car out in the backyard covering up one of those mini pipe bombs? What's the purpose of that? The purpose of that is to blow somebody up.
What was he initially arguing with his parents over?
I don't know what the original argument was over, but the argument was enough that Mom called us, and then that's when he tells Mom, "Well, the cops won't like this," and throws the grenade out the window. And the grenade, like I said, he purchased it at a supply store. All the thing missing, he didn't have any black powder in it. Everything else was ready to go.
A couple of weeks ago to save his life. What does that make you think of when he's prepared to take yours?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the interesting thing about the whole thing that really sets you off is like 2 weeks ago we saved your goddamn life, and now we're here 2 weeks later and you're talking about how you wanted to blow us all up as we were responding to save your life.
And Sheriff, we initially got information that said that he denied that there was any explosive device even there, and then offered to show deputies where it was.
That's correct. At first he said no, and then he decided that he was going to show the deputy where he threw the grenade or hid the grenade. You know, I mean, you think of what we're dealing with too here, which I think fits into everything that we see in America today. You got somebody who's mentally ill. Clearly, he's been Baker acted 4 times. He's got a substance abuse problem, so you're dealing with. He's got a hate for the government. So you have somebody who's really not dealing in the realm of reality, and yet through the internet and through just common household products, was looking to make a weapon of mass destruction. Is what I believe he was looking to do.
And initially, the release early this morning had said that when they were going through all the containers, they were up to a certain number. They didn't think that there was anything that said that it was looking to cause a bomb or destruction or anything like that. Now, did you guys go through all the containers?
Now you start to go through all the containers. You start to find shipping slips for what came in online. You know, I mean, there's stuff in there that you don't have in your cleaning cabinet at home. You know, nitric acid, urea. Like I said, there's a ton of chemicals there, and that's not everyday household stuff that you use to clean your windows. That's stuff that is used for one thing and one thing alone, and mixed together, it could create a weapon of mass destruction.
How long do you guys think he's been accumulating this material for?
For a while. For a while. I mean, one of the things he saved, and there's a plethora of them, are bottles of his own urine.
Why would he do something like that?
Because you can use it to make a bomb. It's part of a fuel to make a bomb. Well, he's got the urea that you can get online. It comes in chemical form. He's got a whole big jar of that's out there in the driveway. But he also saved his urine, and like I said, he seems to have really done his research on this. He recently pawned his computer and was arrested for it because the computer actually belonged to his mother. So we're trying to track that down, and we have the brother's computer and some other computers in the house, because he said a lot of what he learned through the internet and through the manuals that were in there, how to do booby traps.
When we talk charges, what are we talking about that he could face now that you're hoping, now that you've accumulated more evidence, what are you hoping to keep him behind bars with?
Well, we're hoping that some of the chemicals, here's the problem. He didn't take the overt step and put all of those things together and create the bomb. He has everything laid out, ready to go. He's tested the mechanisms. He just hasn't mixed it and taken that step over the line where ATF could come in and say, okay, now we got you. And the same thing we're looking at here. What we're going to try to do is, through the entire investigation, the fact that he's been Baker acted 4 times, the statements that he made about wanting to get even with the system, the fact that he's got these chemicals in the house, and his research, we're going to try to put that together and hope that that'll fly through the state attorney's office to get it that way. And I don't know.
How quickly are you going to do that?
We're doing it now.
Sheriff, we're live on the air right now, so for anybody watching in the neighborhood, what would you want to say to them? I'm sure many of them are concerned for their safety hearing all of this.
Yeah, everything is completely been rendered safe. There is no chance that anything is going to explode. All that is over. What we're doing now is categorizing and collecting the chemicals and any evidence that we can. I will let them know that he could have blew up the block. I mean, that's what the bomb techs are telling me, is if he mixed that, if he got that all together, we could have had a major incident here. And anywhere he went, he could have had it. I mean, he could have loaded it into a car and turned it into a car bomb. I mean, he could have wore a vest. You know, he could have grabbed the gun and just went on a shooting spree and threw those mini pipe bombs at people. Who knows what was inside his mind, because he has already professed a hate for the government and a hate for the system and talked about wanting to maim first responders.
Sheriff, the next door neighbor is actually standing right over your shoulder. What are you going to say to that man to ease his mind?
All I can tell him is, you need to thank the good Lord that we're all standing here talking about this today. And like I said, we're not national news because we have a guy who decided to blow up whatever inside of Volusia County and attack law enforcement, and who knows, maybe even his neighbors. I don't know.
Sheriff, you had initially we heard that there was 3 devices and they were still looking at a 4th. Is that a total of 4 devices that they initially?
I think there's more devices than that, because each one of those blasting caps are considered devices, and there's probably at least a dozen of those homemade blasting caps in there, on top of the lunchbox, on top of the grenade, on top of we believe was the booby trapped mini pipe bomb in the backyard.
What would you say to him, especially now that you said about saving his life 2 weeks ago in Arizona?
I don't think it really matters. I don't think it really matters to this guy. I don't think he's in touch with reality. And if he is, his reality is a different perception. I think in today's climate, you have people out there in society that research and believe that what happened in Columbine was a good thing. They see the World Trade Center and they think that's a good thing. You know, they look what happened in Vegas, they think that that's a good thing. And so you have these fringe members of our society that they look up to these knuckleheads, and they think that, I want to emulate that. I want to be like this guy, because in his life, what is he? He's a heroin addict who's been Baker acted 4 times, who's really an insignificant human being. But he could make himself pretty damn significant if he mixes all that stuff together and delivers death and destruction in our community.
Do you think that you'll be able to turn around the bond?
As we speak to you right now, Chief Morgan is on the phone with one of my detectives who's making an appearance with Judge Clayton to try to show him some of the photos to see if we can get his bond revoked at the bare minimum.
So it could happen in just minutes.
We're hoping. That's what we're hoping.
Did he use collaborating with anybody and making this stuff?
We don't know. I know his brother was growing mushrooms, magic mushrooms, in his room. So this is an interesting family.
So you got bombs on one
Side, mushrooms on the other side, and we got bombs and heroin on one side, and mushrooms and weed on the other side.
So more arrests to follow.
We hope so. Like I said, this is all the number one thing tonight, all night long, with the bomb squad and with ATF and with the fire services, has been to render everything safe. That was the number one thing. And that's what they've done. You know, they did a great job going in there, and they've rendered everything safe, and they've separated everything out. So, you know, hopefully we'll get you up there, get a picture where you can see everything that's laid out in the driveway. And then, like I said, the firefighters and ATF, they can tell you more about the chemicals than I can. I flunked chemistry, so.
Just to confirm, this is the parents' home.
This is the parents' home.
So
When,
you guys are obviously, I know you mentioned speaking with the parents right now.
Has he lived with them all the time, or?
yes. Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's a story of two houses. When you walk in, you know, you got a piano, and the place is pretty neat. And then you veer off into his bedroom, which I'm telling you, if I was a roach, I wouldn't live in it. The bathroom is an absolute disgrace. And then the room next to his is his brother's room, which is pretty clean. And you can see where in the closet he's growing magic mushrooms. He has all the containers in there. So
The fact that so much of this was purchased online, what do you guys do about that? What can you do about that?
there's nothing we can do about it. It's like the fentanyl problem. Where does the most fentanyl come from? It comes from China. Who delivers it? The United States Postal Service. You can go online in the comfort of your own home and order fentanyl and have it delivered to you through the United States Postal Service. There's nothing that we could do to stop it. There's just not enough resources to stop what's coming into the country. And the other thing is, you know, we don't know this to per se yet, but the dark web plays a role in this. You know, when you think of the dark web, you think of a spiral staircase. We're all on the first two levels when we deal with the internet. But when you drill down into that dark web, you know, you could buy guns, you know, human trafficking, bomb-making material, drugs, you name it. It could be purchased online from anywhere in the world and sent to you through the United States Postal Service.
Do you think this is an
Brother, is
instance
he
of
in trouble
homegrown
for the
terrorism?
magic mushrooms?
Not right now. Well, we're working on that.
Sheriff, do you think that this is an instance of homegrown terrorism that you stopped?
I think we got lucky. I think this is a homegrown person, like I said, who fits the profile. You know, he's obviously been Baker Acted 4 times. He's got a drug problem, and he's got a grievance against the government and the quote-unquote system, is what he said. And in particular, he wanted to take out first responders. I mean, it fits the profile of everything that we see in our country today. And we got lucky. Thank God his mother thought enough to call us because of the domestic disturbance, which allowed us to find all this stuff. Because if we don't find it, you know, it's just a matter of him mixing some of this stuff together. He's already worked on a delivery system. And gunpowder, I mean, you know, there was a ton of empty shell casings in there where he was taking the primer off and dumping the powder in and saving it. So he knew what he was going to do. He was just taking slow, methodical steps to get there.
And how long, I mean, obviously you guys have a lot of work. How long do you guys think you're going to be out here today?
I couldn't even guesstimate on that. No, I have no idea. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.